You're listening to the Super Sports Flash podcast.
Welcome into episode 16 of the Super Sports Flash podcast. Back at you. Guys, how you doing today?
Good. This is the Tyler's Obsessed with Mock Drafts edition.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, you're kind of addicted already.
I can be the one to blame for that because I tweeted out my own mock draft earlier using the mock draft simulator for
Yeah,
PFF.
PFF.
And now Tyler's done like 15 already.
Yeah, something like that. But mock drafts are a while away. We can talk about that a little bit, I think.
Oh, we
but
will for sure.
Something more recent that happened: Super Bowl LV or 55 for you that don't speak Roman.
Everybody
just happened. I mean, yeah. Tom Brady and the Buccaneers played Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, and just watching the game, I felt kind of bad for Patrick Mahomes. He played his heart out.
Oh my gosh.
And he's already injured. He was already had to have
He had a
surgery.
toe
after-
injury, right?
turf toe.
Something that actually requires surgery, right? Like,
Yeah, at
he
the end of
legit
his-
needed surgery on his toe.
That's not like an injury that you can really play through.
It's a nagging
It's a
injury.
nagging one, yeah.
Yeah, and so he still played. He had not great stats, but stats like so often don't tell the whole tale. If you watch
Yeah.
the game, he was making throws. His receivers were just dropping them. He
I've
made
never-
some of the most
yeah.
incredible throws I've ever seen twice in a row that like his
Yes.
receiver dropped.
They might as well have just taken very large boulders and stuck them out there because they probably would have stopped the Bucs defensive line more than
Yeah.
their offensive
Yeah.
line. But I mean, to be fair, I know they were down Mitchell Schwartz and somebody else on
Eric
the line.
Fisher.
Eric Fisher, and those
Those are two huge names on their O
two
line.
tackles, right? They're two
Yeah.
tackles.
Probably their two best O linemen.
Yeah,
so.
so they had
Absolutely,
to
yeah.
swap some guys around, and I feel silly looking back on it now. I mean, I picked the Chiefs to win, but then there's that voice in the back of my head that was like, well, I know they're down linemen, and I don't know. I guess I undervalued the fact that they were down their
Yeah.
two best offensive linemen,
Well,
and both of them
Here's
tackles.
here's what we forgot to take into the equation. Todd Bowles is the GOAT. Like, defensive coordinator wise, Todd Bowles is incredible. He completely changed up his defensive style. Like, I saw some stat on it. He ran two-man high, or at least I said a minimum of two safeties high on 87% of defensive plays. That hasn't been done in forever, and it's the most that has ever been done by a Todd Bowles defense in the last 5 years.
Yeah, but I think having Vita Vea back makes that a lot more like just the situation, right? You're talking about the O lineman being out. So now that they have Vita Vea eating up double teams, triple teams every time he's in there, that gives a one-on-one with, Jason Pierre-Paul or
Ndamukong
Shaq
too.
Barrett.
Yeah.
And
And
so
Ndamukong
you can
too.
afford to just drop three high or whatever.
Yeah,
because
that's all they had. That's all they did. They only blitzed. I think they only blitzed 6 times.
Yeah.
Well, you know
And
who's been huge for them when I look at that defense that stands out the most is Antoine Wingfield. Who they drafted, is it this year they drafted him or last
It
year?
was this year.
This year,
Because
yeah.
a lot of Vikings fans, they had the dad connection, right?
Yeah.
Antoine
Yep.
Winfield Sr., Vikings legend. A lot of people were upset that we didn't pick him.
yeah,
And
I
now
think
it looks a lot worse.
I
in
think it was an
retrospect.
early second round.
Yeah,
pick. I don't.
he was their
Yeah, they
second
got
round
Vita Vea in the first round, and they got
Vea was a couple years ago.
a couple years.
I think it was like 3 years
Oh,
ago.
so they
Yeah.
who did they take in the first? Oh, Tristan Wirfs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here's the thing. Like, I can understand. Yeah, he's been Antoine Winfield Jr. played out of his mind. Like, he played really well. But I want to just go ahead and highlight Devin White and Levante David played some of the best coverage I've ever seen a linebacker play,
Yeah.
and it was on Travis Kelce. Sure, he had 10 catches for 133 yards, but they made those stats look so empty that it didn't matter. And all of those, like, I think 3 of those 5 incompletions were direct knockouts by one of those 2 guys. Devin White also finished with 12 tackles and a pick.
Yeah.
It's hard to even call them linebackers because they're not. Today's NFL, you have the linebackers are more rangy. You don't have the traditional linebackers, so you have guys like Devin White and Levante David that can just fly across the field. They're so
Yes.
fast, and they can do everything else that you'd
Yeah,
expect from a
it's-
linebacker, fill the hole.
It's absolutely insane. And then you also combine that with the fact that, like we said, Vita Vea, the man is a bowling ball. Like, he's
a
not
space eater.
He that's what he is.
Takes up space.
He just moves human. Like, he doesn't, he doesn't put pressure on. No, he just
does
moves
not
human.
He's
allow
not. I mean,
human
he's
to
not
move
gonna.
him.
Yeah.
He's a defensive tackle, so he's not gonna really get you a bunch of crazy stats, but his job is to literally take up double teams, and
And that's
he does
exactly what he did. And it's like if they didn't double team him, he was back there bugging Mahomes.
So report came out too after the game that Levante David apparently wants to be paid like the highest paid linebacker in the league. And
He's
honestly,
he's
I think
not
he does.
young
I
either.
think he might deserve it.
Here's the
though.
thing.
He's
I'm
been
telling you
there 9
right now, I
years.
bet you he's 29 or 30.
Here's the thing with that. Levante David
31.
he can want to get paid like that, but if they make him the richest like middle linebacker ever, they won't be able to bring back. Let's see who. Chris Godwin, did he sign an extension this season? If
I
not,
don't think so.
then he's a free agent.
Yeah.
Um,
I saw people saying that they might
Sue-
tag.
Shaq,
Sue and Barrett are free
Sue
agents as
and
well.
Barrett are free agents. Leonard Fournette's a free agent. Antonio Brown's a free agent. Robert
Okay.
Gronkowski's a free agent.
Let's
But,
just
like,
go
those
through the
last
guys
three-
they're gonna that they're not gonna keep. I
Okay,
don't think they're gonna keep Antonio Brown.
But, well, here's the thing. If very, very big if here, if no one else wants Antonio Brown, he's just going to come back on a small deal
Yeah, that's true.
just to re-sign with Brady. And Leonard Fournette actually has
They'll
a
keep-
chance to leave.
they'll-
They'll
Really?
try. Here's the thing. They still want Ronald Jones. For no reason at all, Bruce Arians still says, Ronald Jones is my guy.
Well, the thing
Ronald
is that-
Jones is not as good as Leonard Fournette.
They have an embarrassment of riches. I
Yeah.
mean,
They
we
do.
saw what playoff Lenny did, but then like you touched on, Ronald Jones had a pretty good year overall.
I mean, here's the thing. He had a good year because he was the number one guy. You're going to look good if you're the number one guy in the NFL.
Yeah, they have like a 3rd or 4th round running back just sitting there that they haven't even like really used.
Keyshawn
because,
Vaughn
yeah, because
out of
they
Vanderbilt,
signed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ronald
They also
Jones.
have like Shady McCoy. Let's not forget that. LaShawn McCoy is on that team.
Okay,
And
I completely
doesn't do
forgot
anything.
about that.
He just
I'm gonna be
doesn't.
brutally honest with you.
He just exists.
that's back-to-back Super Bowl champion LaShawn McCoy for you. He's
That's
played
absolutely
0
correct.
snaps in the last 2 Super Bowls and won them both.
And I'm honestly okay with that. I love Shady, and like he did so much work for so many different teams
Yeah.
to never be rewarded, and now he's just sitting there just getting paid in rings.
They got to figure something out with the running back position. It's too jumbled.
So to answer your question, I think Gronk will probably be back just because Brady loves him. He's
Yeah.
Brady's guy, and Brady will get what he wants.
Gronk loves Brady.
Antonio Brown, yeah. Gronk will probably take a pay cut.
Here's the thing. Gronk's not going to go anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. So it's either retire or come back, and he's already said he wants to come back.
Yeah.
So
I guess
Antonio
that's the
Brown,
same thing with the Antonio Brown thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's expendable. I think he would have more of a market than Gronk because he still wants to be.
Well-
he still sees himself as a star.
Maybe, but
Going
see.
off with just the Gronk thing, if Gronk comes back, what do you do with OJ Howard? I mean, you still have OJ Howard and Cameron Braid.
OJ Howard's better than Cameron Brate, so you just play OJ Howard.
Do you trade Cameron Braid or what?
Well, no, you want 3 dudes on the roster. You
Their
want
tight end room is just
yeah,
as
but
jumbled
here's
up
the
as
thing,
their
you're
running
paying a lot
backs.
of
But
money for
you want
of tight ends.
Tom Brady loves running single back under center. And with single back, if you can put 3 tight ends out there that are actual threats, you have to play real defense.
Are
You
you-
have to play pass defense.
Are you looking at Braid's contract?
Yeah, it's $40 million over 6 years. So
Yeah. So you
for
have
a
to do
third
something.
string tight end, paying
Yeah, you can't do that.
$7 million a year for a third.
And
string tight
OJ
end.
Howard is better than Cameron Braid.
Especially if your whole point is that they're going to be strapped for cash after signing like Shaq Barrett or Levante David. Speaking of which, Shaq Barrett is going to get whatever he wants. He's one of the best defensive
He's
ends in
super
football.
underrated, too.
He's super underrated. Poor Broncos lost him for literally nothing. They kept
Rip.
who they keep over him. It was
Over who?
like
Sorry.
Shane Ray, I think,
Oh, yeah,
over
Oh
Shane.
Shaq
gosh,
Barrett.
who's in the XFL right now or the Canadian Football League or something?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, all right. So here, I've got the actual estimated cap space remaining for the Buccaneers, $38 million. All right, for Shaq Barrett, Chris Godwin, Levante David, and Leonard Fournette, the expected payout is a total of $57.69 million. That's 4 of the 7 or 8 dudes they're losing.
Yeah.
That's $20 million more than they are expected to have available.
Yeah.
So people are gonna have to start taking pay cuts. Brady's gonna have to make sure he takes his pay cut.
well, they can also start cutting people that haven't been,
Effective.
as important. And you mentioned him, but one person I can think. I mean, I don't know how much dead cap it'd be, but Ndamukong Suh is kind of like an afterthought in my mind. He's good, but
Well,
I don't know if he's
Especially
top
because
dollar good.
if you want, you could replace him with a rookie. Let's say Christian Barmore or someone maybe at 32 or another young defensive lineman. You could cut. I mean, what's his deal?
He's actually he's a free agent, so never mind what I said.
okay. Well, he'll be gone.
Yeah,
so,
they're not gonna pick him up.
Yeah.
But the main thing is you offer all of these dudes a small contract and say, hey, come on, let's run it back. Let's bring back the whole squad. We're championship winners already. bring it back, run it back. Let's just do it again. And, if one of them says no, you say, fair. And you let them walk unless you have money.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is, like, I've seen a lot of people go, oh, everyone's going to want to go to Tampa Bay. And it's like, but with what money, though? Like, how are they going to sign all these people that they're magically going to attract? If any, because Super Bowl teams, right, I get it. Tom Brady looked like he had a lot of fun at the party afterwards. That's cool.
Oh, yeah.
They
Well,
look like they have great
hold
locker-
on. We got to
No.
talk about Tom Brady being
Drunk
washed.
Brady is goated.
They had, like, great locker room chemistry. That's great. But teams do not gain players after Super Bowls. Teams lose players because people go get paid.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't think it's going to be any different just because, like, oh, Tom Brady
No, yeah.
threw the Lombardi to Gronk over
People
the-
like
and-
Levante David, I just don't think they're going to be able to hold on to him.
That's-
Yeah,
I
if
think
someone
he
like
might-
Levante David, I can see him like not coming back. But if you have other dudes, veterans,
Yeah.
which is why I'm willing to consider Leonard Fournette might come back on lower dollar because he's been getting paid a crap ton by the Jags for the last 7 years. When he comes back, just takes a pay cut, says, you know what? I'll put my ego aside. I'll put my bank account aside. I'm getting paid enough. Let's go win a Super Bowl.
So do you?
And then AB might follow into that same train where he's like, hey, I took a lesser role on this team, but I had a rocky road, and this team's helped me get back to being a semi-respectable human being. Why not?
This is
Who'd know?
Fournette's fourth year, by the way.
do you?
His 4th year in the league,
He's
Yeah.
drafted 2017.
dude. He feels
So who do you franchise tag if you have a choice between David and Barrett?
whichever one won't resign.
I think you franchise tag like Chris Godwin and then just sign Barrett and let David walk.
Yeah, I
It's-
don't think you can keep. I don't think you can keep Barrett and David because
As much as I was hyping up, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're
but
good.
As much as I was hyping up Levante David, and as much as I think he's probably worth like being the highest paid linebacker, they don't need to make him the highest paid linebacker to be good. They have Devin White still.
Yeah,
and you don't pay somebody. I mean, as good of a year as he had, you don't pay somebody who's 31. We said
Yeah.
you don't pay somebody. Will I'm saying I wouldn't, but I know there's going to be a team like
Yeah.
the Jets or somebody ridiculous. It's gonna whoever has.
Honest-
I don't know who's
More
got
Jets
the highest salary
The
cap.
Jags
but
have
the Jags
the most free
so.
space, which is, I mean, I think that would be a pretty interesting move, Levante David, because you get like a veteran like that that's really good, and then they can come and be a mentor for the younger people. Even if you're not going to be competitive with them on the roster, it gets good experience. And
Yeah.
what else are you going to use that cap
Well,
space on?
that's a young defense too, so they
Yeah.
could use a guy like Levante David to come in there and
like who's their veteran? Joe Schobert, Miles Jack, maybe.
Joe Schmo.
But okay, so you guys said you wanted to talk about it. Let's talk about it. Drunk Tom Brady at the Super Bowl parade.
that man literally just threw the Lombardi Trophy over open water.
It's so funny. I thought the first time I saw it, I thought it was just to a random fan, which made it infinitely better in my mind.
No.
But no, it was to Gronk. Which
Well,
makes-
no, it was
No,
it was to Cameron Brate. I think
I thought it was
it was
Scotty
Gronk.
Miller.
it was
I saw a headline
Okay.
that said
We are
to
all
Rob
on-
it was
Gronkowski.
to Gronk's boat, is what
Okay.
it was. It was Gronk's
Somebody
boat,
had to catch
and
it.
there was a white dude on that boat that caught the ball.
It was Cameron Brate.
That caught like the Lombardi Trophy. I thought it was Cameron Brate. I didn't see the neck beard that means Cameron Brate, but also the dude was like he was a big white guy and he was jacked, so I know he wasn't an O
probably
lineman.
Cameron Brate
It's
then.
probably Cameron.
Hey, what are
Brate,
you
but-
saying about offensive line?
Yeah, it was Cameron Brady.
Okay.
Okay, my bad. Yeah, I saw a headline that said Rob Gronkowski.
Whatever.
But
Well, of course they put him in the headline because he's
I mean,
Yeah,
he-
exactly.
It was Gronk's boat.
He's the
Gronk
nobody
owned
else
the boat.
knows who-
it's a tight end boat.
nobody else except for us and maybe diehard fans know who Cameron Brate is.
Yeah.
Let's be real.
Well, and I
Hey man,
didn't.
Cameron Brate is great in
So,
Madden.
I don't know how I heard about
true.
this, or never heard about this, excuse me. But apparently Gronk dented a previous Lombardi Trophy playing baseball in the locker room of Julian Edelman after a Super Bowl.
that is
Like
fantastic.
Julian Edelman threw a baseball at him and he hit it with the Lombardi Trophy, and now one of the Patriots trophies has a dent in it.
Can we just talk about how great it is to be Rob Gronkowski? I mean, you take a year off from football, you get a WWE
Yeah.
title belt, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to come back. You
And
get to
then you
reunite
go-
with Tom Brady. You get a
Who's
year
like the
off.
dude.
Yeah, your body gets a year off to
Recoup,
reset, or
which
I don't know what he's doing. with
We
his
can all
body,
tell he
but-
needed. We
Yeah,
can all tell he needed
actually
that.
didn't look that hurt. Like he didn't look as athletic as he was in his prime. That's for sure. But
he
he
didn't
didn't
look
look,
as-
injured
He did.
this year.
To harken back to like our first or second episode of the podcast ever, he didn't look like Fred Flintstone, just
Oh,
like
gosh.
bobbling the ball down the field. Like if he caught the
We
ball,
did say that.
he caught the ball. Like if that ball hit his hands, he brought it in, and he would move people. The dude's a tank still.
Yeah, and he had 2 touchdowns, almost 100 yards. In the
I
Super
should have
Bowl. He
known
was
it would be
my-
it would be the freaking Super Bowl that Gronk
Yeah.
would be
Yeah.
like breakout. Hasn't done
Personally,
much all year.
He was my MVP of the game, just because Brady only had 1 extra touchdown and like 120 extra yards that weren't Gronk.
Yeah.
So Gronk had almost 50% of the yards and 2/3 of the touchdowns.
Yeah.
And how sick would it have been if a tight end won
That
Super
would've
Bowl
been-
MVP?
That would have been incredible. What
Plus
I
Gronk
think
of all people, he deserves it.
what I think would have been more impressive was if a defender had won it. And I think that Devin White has a legitimate argument. 12 tackles and a pick in the Super Bowl.
He should have rode out there on his horse and grabbed that.
Yeah.
Should have. He should have. He should have rode out there and stole it
Have
from
you guys
Brady.
seen that?
Yes.
Videos
it's
of him on
great.
his horse.
He takes a
Top
victory
tier
lap.
content.
Yeah.
He takes a victory lap around Raymond James Stadium, holding the Lombardi Trophy over his head on a horse.
Was Lil Nas X playing in the background?
Yeah.
Too far?
Yeah, I don't know.
No,
Man.
I mean, that
don't
was
know.
something that actually happened.
Yeah.
The
But,
Yeah.
whole-
yeah.
So,
That's neither here nor there.
Oh.
do you guys think Brady deserved Super Bowl MVP? I mean, like I said, I think it should have been Gronk.
Here's the
personally,
thing.
But
If you look at that thing, you look at the defense and you say, all right, who did someone on the defense deserve it? The entire defense played so well, you can't pick
Yeah.
one guy out
Yeah.
who deserved it. If you look at the offense,
yeah,
Mike
Evans had 1
you-
catch.
you-
Chris
here-
Godwin had 1 catch.
Mike Evans had 1 catch for 31 yards, but was single-handedly responsible for nearly 100 yards just because of the number of PIs and
Yeah,
holding
you
he
can't
threw.
count those.
You can't. I mean,
Yeah.
but the thing is, if the dude actually got 6 targets, but only one of them was recorded because he was held or like had pass interference on him. On the other 5, because he was so good that they had to hold him,
Yeah.
and they had to throw him to the ground when the ball was coming to him, and they had to hit him early. You could argue that, you can't put those numbers on the stat sheet, but that impact on the game is still very real.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. I just don't think that that's MVP stuff. Like going
And obviously,
like,
it's not MVP stuff. But if Leonard Fournette had scored another touchdown, I would have said Leonard Fournette.
Yeah.
But Brady didn't mess up. He was 21 for 29,
Yeah.
201 yards and 3 touchdowns. He didn't mess
Yeah,
up.
here's
He
the thing.
Did his job. He did well.
I don't know if I would have given it to Brady, but at the same time, it's Tom Brady.
Yeah.
He just won
like-
his 7th Super Bowl.
oh, that's cool.
And it looks good. I mean, you're just kind of padding his stats a little bit too. You're like, oh, he won his 7th Super Bowl. He's got X amount of MVPs. Like, it's Tom Brady. You have to give it to him. Even if I would
Yeah.
have done it myself, it made sense to me.
No, that's exactly how I felt afterwards. Is I'm like, yeah, this is a legacy award, but
Yeah,
like he
for sure.
deserves it.
Yeah.
I mean, he
Like,
played. Like you said, his stats. He played pretty well. I just don't know if.
The stats themselves were not necessarily Super Bowl MVP worthy, but the fact that it was, if you also like watching the game, you could tell whenever they needed a play, Brady would come to the line, call up an audible, and then hit a dart to a hot route.
Yeah.
And then it would just first down. And those first downs were absolute momentum killers for the Chiefs. The Chiefs would get them to 3rd and 8. Brady would come to the line, call an audible, throw like a little fade to. Yet, gosh, who even knows? Like, what?
Yeah.
He threw it to
Yeah,
everyone.
I mean, Antonio Brown had the most catches, I think, or tied with Gronk for the most catches.
Yeah.
I think they both had 3, and then Evans and Godwin only had 1. So
I'm honestly fine with it going to Tom, just because
Yeah.
his impact on the game was probably the highest. Because if Gronk wasn't there, Cameron Brate would have had those touchdowns. It was just so happened to be that
Yeah.
it was to Gronk.
Yeah.
But Brady would have gotten those stats no matter what.
yeah, but if Brady wasn't there, then Jameis Winston would have thrown those touchdowns.
Jameis Winston also would have thrown
Oh.
5 picks.
no, I'm just-
They probably would have won a Super Bowl this year with Winston. I mean,
No.
I doubt it.
No. They would have gone 7-9 and not made the playoffs.
yeah, you're probably right.
Because they had pretty much the same team last year. Like, obviously, outside of Gronk and AB, and Gronk throughout most of the season was just a novelty item.
That's fair, but I also would argue that the defense this year was a lot better than it was last year.
It was
Like,
more
last
in
year they
sync.
were a good defense. This year they were the best defense.
Yeah. I mean, also, it's hard to be better than a good defense when your quarterback gives the ball to the other team on the 20
Oh, that's for
every
sure.
time.
So-
Well, I say we go ahead and move on from. Oh, wait, no. That's
yeah,
right.
no,
We have
I
one
did
more thing.
Yeah, I did want to ask.
There's one more thing. Yeah.
Way too early. Who are you guys picking in the first round for your team? Like, be realistic. Don't go like, oh, I want Trevor Lawrence, obviously. But where you're picking, the Vikings had the 14th pick. I don't know what the football, like 25, 19. For some reason, I thought it was lower because you guys were in the playoffs. But, and then the Broncos are what?
I think we're 9.
9.
I
Okay.
think we earned the 9th overall one.
So, Joe,
Congrats.
you inspired the whole mock draft mania. So, who's your ideal pick at 19?
I'd pick Trey Lance if he's there. I don't think he will be. You might have to trade up if you want to grab him. Maybe he flies under the radar, especially since we're not doing a combine this year. I think we're just doing pro days. So, something like a combine, which people would kind of get to see him in action. A lot of teams would. They're not going to. I'm sure he'll have a lot of teams at his pro day. But I love Trey Lance. I mean, I've been talking about him since last spring. They only played North Dakota State, only played one game this year. And Trey Lance didn't look great, but I mean, it was one game. And not to mention that, last year he had 28 touchdowns and 0 interceptions, which is really impressive, even though, I mean, it's North Dakota State, but he played really well. So I would pick Trey Lance. I don't know if he'll be there, though, by 19.
Okay, Matt.
Honestly, at 9, I want an O-lineman. If there's an O-lineman that's like really good that we can get at that 9th spot, I want to take an O-lineman because chances are there's not going to be a quarterback that I like available at that point because the quarterbacks that I like are Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, and Mac Jones.
Mac Jones might be there at 9. I don't know.
He probably will be, but I don't know.
Here's the thing. I don't want to draft Mac Jones at that spot. I like Mac Jones. I don't like Mac Jones's fit with my team because the Broncos are not a very mature team. Mac Jones is very mature himself, but I don't know how well he would fit in with that.
That's how I feel about him too with Washington.
With that immature atmosphere is that we feel too wild and free because that's the way that Vic Fangio has allowed us to become. We give up, we lose easy games. We'll go up 20 and then we'll just end up losing the game anyways. And, if I'm a team that wants to draft Mac Jones, I want to have a crafty offensive head coach like a Matt Nagy or something like that. That's what I would want. I would just want to be, honestly, the Bears are the perfect spot for him. Bears are the perfect spot for Mac Jones. But basically, Broncos, I want to draft an O-lineman, give Drew Lock some more protection, see if he can still salvage a decent career. And I'm not high on Trey Lance because he didn't do anything this year.
Yeah.
And I'm also not high on Justin Fields either because I don't believe in quarterbacks that go to Ohio State.
So you take an offensive lineman, but how would you feel if they decided to go a different route? Let's say they took Patrick Surtain or another corner.
I love defense.
Micah Parsons.
Because I know they had somebody today that they cut, I believe. I can't remember who it was.
Oh, it was Aqib Talib, I believe.
No, it wasn't
Aqib Talib. Has been
No,
gone.
the other one, sorry, that they signed from why can't
I'm putting this on the spot.
He's a very
but,
similar
yeah.
cornerback to Aqib Talib.
We cut AJ Bowie?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
AJ Bouye.
Wow. Okay, in that case, draft a corner. We need a corner.
Yeah,
we need
yeah,
we need another
Surtain.
corner.
Or
Draft
Caleb
Patrick
Farley.
Surtain or Micah
JC
Parsons
Horn.
or whatever.
Let's hear it, Tyler.
Oh,
Let's hear
my
it.
God.
Oh,
This is
okay.
my bad.
So I've been thinking about this since 6 p.m. today when I started doing mock drafts. My favorite one was we got Devontae Smith. That's not going to happen, but it happened in my mock drafts. So I
It happened in your mind.
And I honestly think that we're in a spot where we just take best player available for the most part, or we trade back a couple of picks and then pick. So I like Kwity Paye out of Michigan, defensive end. I like Christian Barmore, but 14 might be a little high for him, so I think we
You trade
trade back
back,
and
maybe.
then pick him. And then I also like whichever offensive tackle is the best there. That you have Vera Tucker from USC, or Rashad Slater, or Christian Darrisaw.
If you could get Rashawn Slater, that'd be a steal. I don't know if he'll slide that
Yeah,
far.
well, I was just
Yeah.
listing the non-Penny Sewell tackles.
Well, I mean, it's not, honestly, Slater might end up being better than Sewell in the long run. They're both pretty good.
Yeah, so basically my answer is if there's a really good BPA like Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith, someone like that.
Yeah, like you
falls to
take the
you
Cowboys route where the Cowboys drafted CeeDee Lamb
Yeah.
last year.
Oh,
And
no,
it
I think
ended
we're in
up
that
working
exact
out
position.
for him somehow. You're
I
like,
think
huh?
I think we're in the exact position of them. Like we have a aging Adam Thielen, so picking another receiver that's going to be a cornerstone along with Justin Jefferson is never a bad idea.
Yep.
But
And you still have Chad Beebe, too.
yeah, legend. But other than that, we will probably take the best defensive lineman available, whether we see it as
More
an end
D line.
Yeah,
More
I think end is
D-line.
less of a need
More
for
D
us.
line.
I think that defensive tackle is probably more important, so I'd like Barmore or
What? You got
Deshaun Nixon or
you got
whatever,
that big dude
out of
coming
Iowa.
in.
Michael Pierce, but we need
Yeah.
like a like a 3-tech pass rusher.
That's why I'd take Quiddy Pay. I wouldn't take Barmore.
Yeah.
Also, I'm not all that high on Christian Barmore. I mean, he kind of came on. He had a good title game. He did well
Yeah.
late in the season. But if you look at his stats, I mean, I could be wrong. He just doesn't really stand out that much to me. He's still very young.
Yeah.
I will say one last thing though before we move on.
Mm-hmm.
Spicy hot take.
Ooh,
If there's
spicy.
a top quarterback still available, I would like us to pick them.
That's not that
because-
hot.
Well, I mean,
Scorching.
it's pretty hot for a lot of people because we have Kirk Cousins for another 2 or 3 years, and so people are like, why waste a pick on that?
Trey Lance.
I would like Trey
Big
Lance if
time
he was still
development
available
pick.
because
Go for-
no,
go
exactly,
for like
and
a
that's
big time development
perfect
pick.
because we have
Minnesota.
2 years of Kirk Cousins left, and then everyone
that?
is like all the Vikings fans in the world are like, the sky is falling. Our defense was garbage. Mike Zimmer is a defensive coach, ignoring the fact that we were literally playing 4th and 5th stringers at every
Yeah, that's
position,
true.
and that everyone's coming back minus maybe Anthony Barr, who might be a cap casualty, but.
Woof.
I mean, he's overrated based on name. He gets good Madden cards every year, but he doesn't play up to. But anyway, so my point is, I don't think defense is as much of a need. Like, it'd be nice. Defensive depth is always good, but if the quarterback is there, I think that you want to try to like hit on your guy for the future.
Yep.
So
Are we prepared
Yeah.
to shift into my favorite sport, the NBA?
Shift gears.
Yeah.
Oh, let's go ahead
baseball.
and shift some gear. No.
oh wait,
No.
you want to do the NBA first?
Yeah.
Let's
let's do the
that.
NBA.
Fake
first.
laugh.
So Matt, you're
Yeah.
a Lakers fan.
Yes, I am.
Lakers' last 3 games have all gone to overtime. They've
Yep.
won all of them, but
Yep.
do you want to explain why?
It's LeBron's fault.
Yeah.
Mic drop. Here's the thing. AD right now isn't playing because he experienced some soreness in his Achilles, and they did like some X-ray on it, and they were like, well, he doesn't. It's still fine, but he just has to rest. And so everyone's like, that's what he's doing on the court anyways. Him and AD and LeBron on the court in the first half of a game, they don't care. They're just out there to like, they're still trying to rest and recover from the bubble because the bubble wasn't all that long ago, and
Yeah.
the off season is such an important time.
Yeah, and LeBron's
Late old
older.
man.
so
LeBron,
he-
LeBron is very
Father
old right
time.
now, and I mean, but like if you look at it, LeBron doesn't play well in the first half, and he doesn't care. And anyone who wants to say that he has no help is just lying, because when you have a guy out there that's not giving effort, it's going to bring the whole team down, especially when that is your not just your vocal leader, your actual leader.
Yeah.
He's the guy that recruited you, and he's just, lollygagging back on defense, and he doesn't really care. He looks lethargic. But then the end of the second half comes around, he kicks it into high gear, and then suddenly we make a 25-point comeback in 10 minutes, and we're just back in the game. That's just what it is. With the Lakers, it's just like the first half of a game is we let the other team run away with it, and then the second half we pull it back, and then we win the game.
It's always weird to me. Like, obviously, when the Nationals won the World Series, that coming off the World Series, or coming off a championship, you're always expecting like so much out of your team.
Yeah.
And you have a bit of fatigue, and I'm kind of seeing it with the Lakers right now a little bit. That's how I could compare.
Yeah, I mean, that's the
compare
thing.
to.
They're all like, they're letting Dennis Schroeder and Montrezl run wild because
Yeah.
they weren't in the championship. And the Lakers guys are still like, ones who did play are still kind of tired because you don't get that full recovery. Like, obviously,
Yeah, exactly.
even a full off season is not enough recovery for that.
Yeah, it's a
Well-
quick turnaround for the NBA usually.
Also, too, I'd argue like compared to the Nationals, right? Like the Nationals are a pretty big baseball team, but also they weren't like the favorites going into that World Series. They won, and then so like they got a high expectations. But like the Lakers since LeBron went there have been super hyped up. So it's even more disappointing that they're not.
Yeah,
like,
that's true.
living up to it because they've been like as soon as LeBron signed there, they were like, okay, championship or bust every year from now until he retires.
Yeah. And then he got injured the first year. Like, he got injured when the Lakers were a 4th seed his first year, and then we fell out of the playoffs after that because he wasn't playing. We just had Kyle Kuzma, Brandon Ingram, and Josh Hart running around. And,
It's
then
funny how time changes things because like a year ago or 2 seasons ago, that sounded like a bad thing. But nowadays with like the current Josh Hart, current Kyle Kuzma, and current Brandon Ingram, that's still a playoff team in my mind.
like, you could argue because like Brandon Ingram was averaging like 14 a game on the Lakers during
Yeah.
that stretch. Now Brandon Ingram's averaging 25 a game on the Pelicans as the second option.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, why couldn't you do this? You took such a jump when you got there. It makes no sense. But yeah, in all honesty, the Lakers are going to be just fine. They're just literally LeBron and AD are just taking breaks and resting and letting Dennis Schroeder prove his worth, which he did, and it's a whole thing.
Turns out he's good.
Yeah.
So
Spoiler.
we have written on here. It's very cryptic.
Yes,
And it says,
and I wrote
plus-
this part.
No, I'm skipping the
Oh,
first
you're
one. I'm
skipping
going
that one.
straight to plus a hot take on the Hawks.
Yes.
And I quote, so would you like to tell me your hot take? Because I'm all for it.
My hot take on the Hawks is this. The reason why the Hawks won't be as good as I expected them to be at the beginning of the season is Trae Young.
Yes. Okay, I knew where you're going with that one.
Yes,
as soon as-
that is my hot take because Trae Young does nothing but whine and complain to the refs. He does nothing but that. And also,
Sounds like LeBron.
is Trae Young a good three-point shooter in your mind?
I think he takes a lot of them, so he makes a lot of them. It's
Yeah,
like
I
earlier.
agree.
It's like a couple seasons ago, James Harden, where he was always at the top of the makes, but he was also always like at the top of the attempts.
Trae Young is shooting 37% from three. That's not the hallmark of someone you would consider an elite three-point shooter.
Yeah, and he takes Steph Curry level shots, but he's not Steph Curry.
Not even
Exactly.
close.
And the thing is, he thinks he now this actually got pointed out to me, and I started watching for it, and I realized that it was correct. He acts like Steph Curry. He thinks he's Steph Curry. Everyone tells him he's Steph Curry. But he's not really Steph Curry. Because he
Yes.
doesn't make those shots at the high levels that Steph and Dame do. You know, from the logo. Like, yeah, he shoots 6 a game. Yeah, you're going to hit 1 or 2 if you're an NBA player, and you practice it. But, you know, overall, you're not that good on wide open shots. You don't hit that high of a number. You know, you just kind of chuck them up. And they fall because you are a good NBA player. You're still
Yeah.
a good player. You're just not elite level shooter.
By the way, for reference, Steph Curry's averaging 11.3 threes per game this season is shooting 43%.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
he's
that
averaging
is-
twice as many and shooting 6% higher than Trae Young on them.
Yeah,
So-
exactly. And it's absolutely ridiculous because Steph Curry has had several bad games. But the thing with Steph is that you know that even when he has a bad game, he's going to turn around and he's going to go 10 for 11 the next night.
And also, when he has a bad game, he still draws double and triple
Mm-hmm.
teams every time he touches the ball and gets other people involved. So, like, if you look at his box score and go, like, oh, he only had 10 points or 12 points or something, it was a bad game for him. Well, also, you watch, and, like, the reason they were even in the game is because he was getting double teamed and other people
Yeah.
were open.
And, you know, on those nights, typically Andrew Wiggins or Kelly Oubre Jr. decided, I'm going to hit a shot tonight, you know? I might hit 2.
Let's keep on the Steph Curry talk here.
The Steph Curry talk? Yeah, I actually wanted to talk about him personally because I think he's playing incredible. You know, he's averaging almost 30 points a game, he's shooting 43% from three, like on 11 and a half attempts per game. I think pure play wise, he should be in the MVP conversation, but his team is very bad or like bad comparatively. And so he isn't. And I think, like, I mean, the same argument for Bradley Beal, right? Bradley Beal is incredible. And when they do win games, it's because he goes supernova.
I feel so bad for him.
And so do you guys think that team record should have as much of an impact on MVP? Like Giannis won the last 2 MVPs, right?
Yeah.
And you could argue that last year was just because his team was the number 1 seed, right?
I mean, he also set the NBA record for efficiency, that of which 7 of the 10 records are held by Wilt Chamberlain.
Yeah, okay. I mean, that's a better argument, but also like his stats like didn't stand out as much as some of the other candidates, but
Like-
his team was the 1 seed.
It was the 1 seed, and it was the 1 seed because of him directly. He was the one that directly made his team the 1 seed in that case because his usage rate last season was through the freaking roof. Because if you watched the Bucks last season, they didn't take the ball out of his hands. They just said, Giannis, here's the ball. Go.
Yeah,
And
that's
this
fair.
season now it's like Giannis isn't putting up as much numbers, but also their offense looks so much smoother because Giannis sets an on-ball screen every play now. He sets an on-ball screen and then he'll roll, and then if it doesn't happen, he'll pop back out. Then they'll get him the ball, and then he'll pass
Wait,
to someone
so do
else.
you think
and let
that's
him move.
a good thing though, that like your MVP isn't touching the ball nearly as much now and your offense looks a lot better?
Yes, I do. I think that's an incredible thing because the main knock on Giannis was, oh, his team doesn't win games. It's because, yeah, he's getting triple teamed every play when he has the ball. Take the
Yeah.
ball. If you get these guys experience with the ball in their hands and not in Giannis's hands, then you're going to look so much better.
Yeah, I don't know.
Giannis scored 47 points last night running that offense.
Yeah, he did have a great game.
And, like, he's kind of proving that he doesn't have to have the ball in his hands to score, which was an original huge drawback on him.
I still think I've said this in like earlier episodes. I still think as good as Giannis is, he needs like a number 2. guy, similar to how
And Chris-
LeBron has AD.
Chris Middleton is not a number 2.
He has 2 number 3s now. Though,
Yeah, he's
which is
got a
better
bunch
than what
of-
he had.
Yeah.
He's got a couple 3s, 4s, but he doesn't have that solid 2.
Yes, and
That
I'd say
Robin to his Batman.
he would need a solid 2 or a co-1, which is
Bradley
why I was
Beal
like,
for Chris Middleton straight up. Who says
Oh
no.
yeah. Well, I would say no if I was a Wizard.
I know,
but
I was
also,
joking.
I would
Yeah.
love to see Bradley Beal with Giannis
Yes.
because
That's a
Giannis is
perfect
my favorite
pairing.
player.
it's a great pairing because then like Bradley Beal doesn't just have to chuck up all like Bradley Beal is shooting like around 40% from 3, I imagine.
Yeah.
He's shooting double contested 3s all game long because he's never open. He just like no, they're not guarding anyone else on the Wizards because sorry Joe, they don't have to.
No, yeah.
They don't.
You got Westbrook who just kind of
Russ stands as a 3.
He's shooting 33% from 3 this year.
Again, every
He's
single
averaging, you know,
every single shot is like teamed.
25 points again.
32.9.
32 points.
But
like-
so sorry. But I kind of want to get back to the original point I asked, though. I kind of veered off of that. Do you guys think that team record should impact MVP voting as much as it does?
In terms of the way the award is described to you in the official definition, no.
Yes.
But the way the award has always been
Yeah.
and always will be is that if your team is good and you are the best player on that team, it's yours. Because if you want to go based purely on that, it's LeBron every time.
That's what I was gonna say, is
LeBron's a franchise.
I'm of 2 minds. Like, obviously, LeBron would win it every year because LeBron is the best player maybe ever. And so, obviously, he would win the most valuable player every year if you did
Yeah.
it that way. But I think that too many, like, awards where there's players that have been playing better on, like, a 4 seed or something gets overshadowed by a guy on a 1 seed.
yeah.
Like, I was super happy that James Harden won it. But also, Russell Westbrook was putting up better stats
Yeah,
like for his
Russell
second
Westbrook-
year in a row.
Russell Westbrook, for 3 years in a row, averaged a triple-double
and it
and
was
only considered an MVP in the first year.
because his team was like pretty good then. And then when
They still like a 5th seed.
I mean, okay, it had never been done before. But then the next year, people are like, okay, he's still playing at that MVP level. But now we should look at their record and like, oh, James Harden's the 1 seed. Like, congrats,
Yeah.
come on down. Like, I'm like, don't get me wrong, I'm happy that James Harden won. He deserved to have an MVP to his name. But
Yeah, and like Harden has been playing MVP level ball and whatnot.
yeah,
But right now, with how it all is going, who would you guys say is your MVP? Because like there's so many different possible answers here now. Because the last week has honestly changed things drastically.
Yeah, because we talked about it last
did-
week.
we did,
and I
but,
said
like-
Kevin Durant, but
I don't think it's KD anymore.
I
The
still
Nets
think it's Nikola Jokic.
are
but-
kind of fizzling out a little bit.
Well, it's the thing is Jokic has actually increased his production.
Yeah, he's
since
averaging
then.
27 points per game.
He put up 50 in a loss to the Kings.
Yeah.
It's the Kings. How do you lose to the Kings when your star drops 50?
Yeah, he's averaging 9 assists.
What's
11
Jamal
rebounds,
Murray up to?
27
Is he
points.
just a no-show?
He had a.
I haven't been watching much NBA, but
Jamal Murray isn't spectacular right now. He's not playing to the
that's
top of his
so odd
ability.
to me
I mean,
because
the
he
thing-
played so well at the end of last year.
Well, that's the thing. That was the only time he's ever played like that ever in his career.
Yeah.
Jamal Murray is a legitimate 3.
Yeah, no,
He's not a 2.
He's back to like his career averages, right?
Which is like what?
The past 3
17,
years.
18?
Yeah, past 3 years,
Yeah.
he's averaged 18 a game, and he's
He's-
back to averaging 18 after putting up 50. But he's also only 23 years old.
He is only 23, but the way that everyone was like, everyone thought that Jamal Murray was now a 27 point per game average player.
I was one
He's
of those
not.
people.
He's not that. That's not what Jamal Murray is, at least not right now. At this point in his career, Jamal Murray is not a 30 point per game guy. He might, go Dame for like, 2 weeks, but he's not going to do that over the course of a season.
Yeah.
And it's like that's the same reason why the Trailblazers are never as good as everyone's like, oh, Dame's so good. And when Dame's scoring all these points per game, they don't lose and they win all these games. Yeah, it's because Damian Lillard has to score 50 points for them to win every single night because the Trailblazers are not good.
So, actually, I lied. There's one last player I want to bring up.
Oh,
I
okay.
saw this stat.
Bonus player.
Yeah, bonus player. He plays on the Philadelphia 76ers, actually. So you heard of the 50-40-90 club, right? Shooting 50% from the field, 40% from 3, 90% from free throw.
Yeah.
Well, Seth Curry of the 76ers right now is part of the 50-50-100 club. He's shooting 50% from the field, 50% from three, and he's not missed a free throw all season.
How many free throws has he taken?
He's averaging 1.7 per game times 18 games, which is like, I don't know, 30 something.
Yeah, so like that's really good. And if he's the first guy to ever make the 50-50-100 club, congratulations to him. Ooh, nice.
It was 30.6.
If he's almost dead on, but like Steph Curry is not an MVP.
Oh no, I just wanted to point that. I just thought it was crazy.
It's a really cool stat, but like,
and it's not sustainable. He's going to miss a free throw.
He's going to miss
drop
at least
below
one,
50% of three.
I mean, he may still set the record for a free throw percentage in a season, but
I think it has to be like X amount of attempts.
I think it's 100 attempts, and he might get there.
Ooh, yeah. Well, I mean, he's played 18 games out of the like how many?
72.
No, but how many of there right now have been played already too? Because he's missed a couple. I think there was like 23 or something.
I think it's somewhere around there.
So yeah, he's missed 4 games,
Yeah.
which is, I don't know, what's 72 divided by 4?
Good question. I don't know. That's why I'm no longer an engineer.
Okay, that's like an 18 game pace he's gonna miss if he misses at the same pace.
But that was
would be
also
54 games.
Because he was held out on like COVID for 3 days. Like that was a huge like chunk of those games was because COVID.
Anyway, my point being, if it's 100, then yeah, he'll get there if he averages the same amount of it.
Absolutely, yeah.
So.
It'll be interesting to see. So watch out for that. Seth Curry might be making history this season.
Seth?
Yes, Seth Curry. Steph Curry is not going to be making history because he's doing the same thing he always does.
I don't know what it's
Although he's already made history by passing Reggie Miller on the second on the all-time 3-point made list.
Yes, not Wardell Stephen Curry
Yeah.
Jr., but Seth Adam Curry. It's spelled Adham.
Damn.
Yeah.
All right,
Anyway,
calm down.
so let's talk about some Alabama basketball. Keeping it
Yes.
in basketball, this is Matt's second favorite topic.
I
Not
love
mine
this team.
after a while.
Pain.
So we're currently ranked
All
number
of the
11.
above.
We lost to Mizzou.
Yes,
Uh,
we played the worst 30 minutes of basketball I've ever seen, followed by the best 10 minutes of
Hey,
basketball I've ever seen from us.
I'm going to start this off by putting Matt on the spot a little bit, talking about how Alex Reese has been playing well. Alex Reese has not been playing that well.
I mean,
kind of got ate alive, but most people would by Jeremiah Tillman.
about to say, and by that dude, like every single center in college basketball essentially would struggle against him unless you're like that dude that Illinois has.
it's
just-
Kofi Coburn.
Yeah, that's just
Yeah.
giant.
It's not how
And,
it's
like,
pronounced how it's
Here's
spelled.
the thing: Alex Reese was brought in as a 6'8" power forward that can play small forward, and now they're like, "Hey, dude, you want to play center?"
Yeah.
And the thing is, yeah, he's starting to look better. He's getting like a block a game or so, and he actually played. Like, he played pretty well in that. He missed like a number of the shots, but like if you look out there, he had been told to front that guy the whole time, and when you get told to front that guy, if they fit the pass over, he's gonna lay it up.
I
I'm
prefer
gonna
Hanukkah.
Oh my gosh, that was. Anyways, I'm gonna need more than 3 points out of the Alex Reese.
Look, that's fair, but
But,
at the same
I
time,
mean,
like
Okay.
Alex Reese is a backup.
But so all of this.
that's the problem. He's a backup who's starting. That's
yeah.
The
Well, I
main
mean,
issue
both
there.
of our. I mean,
yeah,
all of our big men are hurt.
we had a big that we were starting over him, got injured. Then we were like, okay, Alex Reese, you're gonna start. He came off his hot streak that he had been on because he had been playing really well, starting against like Oklahoma, and then that kind of died down. And they were like, okay, we're gonna bring you back off the bench. We're gonna start Jawan Gary. Jawan Gary got injured 2 minutes into the game.
Well, and Herb also has been playing like
Herb
big
is
man-
just resting.
big man / center. I agree.
It's his
Like,
back.
He's just hurt.
His back
Yeah,
is
from carrying Alabama.
How long
basketball.
How long do you think he's had a week back? About a week back.
he's had a week back for
Wow, we
like
got jokes.
3 or
We've
4
got
weeks.
jokes on jokes on jokes today,
But
folks.
He has had a week
That
back
rhyme.
for like 3 weeks now.
Week back notwithstanding, and we we were down big. We came back. It was a 1-point game. We were down by 1
Mm-hmm.
at one point. Herb kind of missed that layup.
He did, but also there was a guy there that like made a contest and like.
But the guy was behind him.
But if you get your hand there, it's still gonna throw off the guy shooting the layup.
I don't know. And it like rolled in and out. I still think
Here's the thing:
probably
that is a layup that
wants
he
that one
could
back.
have made, and he does want that one back. But also, I can understand how he missed it.
Yeah, the second one wasn't great. Like I didn't like that our last 2 plays while down 1 were both just give it to Herb and let him try to take on 5 people by himself.
Well, that one was actually like an incredible play because he pump faked and got the dude in the air. Then
If he would have leaned into him more, it would have been a foul. I think.
well, he tried to, and it didn't work. And then a guy in Missouri came over and made an incredible play to just spike the ball off the backboard. Then we turned it around, and we had an incredible inbounds play. I just want to point out those 3 plays,
Yeah.
like you said, give it to Herb, let him go against 5. That's not what happened. Those were actually 3 really well drawn up plays that got Herb Jones to the rim twice in a row with good looks
Yeah.
to the basket. And then we had an incredible one that would have given Shaq a better look had he have not also tried to draw a foul by turning his body and shooting.
He does that all the
shot
time.
was so bad, and it's just like it makes me so mad because he's so talented. He's one of our most.
He doesn't know how to
talented
control
players.
his body, though.
Well, it's not. It's just he takes bad shots. Like
His shot selection is less than ideal, but in terms of like total offensive talent, he might be our most talented offensive player.
And if he just stopped throwing up like sideways layups, like off of his back, foot
Those
or
are the ones he
something,
makes. He misses all his open
I don't know.
layups, but
He
he
missed-
only hits those.
Yeah.
He
The ones where
misses
he's
a lot of
falling
them.
back and throwing it over
I-
his head like this. Those are the only ones that he makes for no reason.
I got to be honest with you guys. So I was watching the game at work because I work a couple hours on the weekends, and we were getting blown out. I left. I went to get like breakfast or something, pick it up. They had the TV on there. They were still getting blown out. I went back to my apartment, and I put my phone in the charger. I was just relaxing. I was like, we're gonna lose this game, and then I checked my phone like an hour later, and I see the final score. I'm like, what?
Yeah, that was.
I had no idea.
That was probably.
I chalked it up to an L. I was, I had stuff to do. I didn't give up on them, but I was like,
Sounds like
some
you
stuff
gave
to
up
do.
on them.
That was the best 10 minutes of basketball that
Yeah.
Alabama has played all season, regardless of whatever game. Like LSU, like it doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
That was the best 2 minutes, most complete 2 minutes of basketball that we have played. Our offense was good. Our defense was incredible. Keon Ellis is an absolute
I was
star in
just
the
about
making.
to say that I think he had 12 points last game. The game before that was 11, and then 10 before that. So he's kind of
Yes,
turning
he
it
is.
on.
Pretty soon he's gonna average like 100 per game because he's gonna get
Oh, yeah,
to
that,
99
right?
and then 100. And,
yeah.
But
Sky's the limit.
I
The ceiling is the roof.
legitimately was jumping up and down like in front of my TV at the end of the game, getting so
Yeah.
hype, and then it all fell short. But hey, we're still number 11 in the country. We beat
mean-
South Carolina.
You can't. Here's the thing: when you look at that game against Missouri, you can't, in good conscience, say, "Alabama's not that good."
Oh no,
Because
absolutely not.
We were just being the worst for the first 30 minutes, and then Oates or someone in that group said something to everyone else, and they said, "Okay," and then we bought in.
Yeah, it has to be a testament to Oates. Like I think it definitely has to be Nate Oates, right?
Yes.
And you look at last game too. Avery Johnson would have lost that game.
Yes.
And somehow we held on to a 3-point lead and just barely squeaked out
Yes.
a win. But
a win against South Carolina, 81-70. For
yeah,
those of you who are
a win's a
curious.
win.
A win is a win, and if you notice, most of the games on our in like the last 8 have been decided by 3 or less. Most of those games have been decided by that. That is the exact kind of game. Every single one of those that we would have lost under, like you said,
yes.
under Avery Johnson. But my word, Nate Oates has put a fire in these guys' stomachs that makes them want to play.
Yeah, and they're doing it all like no big man really. They're playing small ball against a team like Missouri that has one of the most dominant centers.
They
in the
were
entire,
legitimately running 3 big minute points.
Yeah.
Just to outsize us.
and it worked, but also it only worked by 3 points. So I think that we have a definite shot, especially Herb's healthy. Like
Yeah.
you get Jordan Bruner back.
Well, here's the thing with Bruno, and I keep saying it myself. It's like, oh, just wait till we get Jordan Bruner back. It'll all be different. But that's one player, though, and you can't just, roll out the red carpet when he comes back and assume everything's going to be fine, Yeah, you need these other guys to step up. You can't put it all on Bruner.
Well, that's
'Cause
fair.
even when he comes back, he's not going to be 100%.
I mean, correct, but also let's not forget this fact with Bruner. One thing that Alabama has none of is rim protection. John Petty and Herb Jones, both Herb Jones is very clever with how he blocks shots. Petty is great at timing things and whatnot. If you have a dude that can actually just stand there with his arms straight up like Roy Hibbert and alter shots,
Yeah,
I mean, that's all you need because
makes
then
a
those guys can
difference.
come over and swipe it away. It doesn't just make a difference. It makes a huge difference because you go from having no rim protection the entire length of the game to having really good rim protection for 30 minutes of the game.
Yeah, but I still think I got to see more from Reese and Rojas and Gary. Who's,
That's the thing.
He's injured, but
Part of the reason why I was allowing myself to think that Reese was doing so well is because while Jordan Bruner was playing a lot and getting a lot of minutes, Reese was coming off the bench, averaging 16 minutes and putting up good numbers, shooting efficient, shots. He was just playing his role and he was doing it well. Now that we're asking him to do more, it's starting to take him out of like his zone. And for a while, he was living it up and he was doing really well with it. But now he's starting to come off the hot
A
streak.
lot on the shoulders, yeah.
It's a lot on the guy's shoulders, and he starts to play bad. And Alex Reese has had issues in the past with being streaky and allowing himself to get in his own head, and that's what happens to like a lot of these guys. They start to get in their own head.
Petty's
about
the
it.
same way. I mean, he wasn't doing all that hot. I mean, he had 20 points in this game, but he kind of fell off for a little bit as well.
Yes,
And they were saying it. I don't know if you guys are listening to like the broadcasts and stuff, but they were saying it on the broadcast. They're like, normally John Petty's like your go-to guy, but this whole year he's just been like, I don't know what's happened to him. Like, where did he go?
I mean, here's
for a
the
lot
thing
of
with
games?
Petty is that we have to understand. Petty at no point in his life has ever been a sharpshooter.
No.
I want to let that sink in, because
I
John
agree.
Petty in high school was a playmaker and a slasher who could shoot threes. He gets to college and they say, we want you to be a knockdown 3-point shooter. And that's what they're still asking him to be, is a knockdown 3-point shooter. And
That's not
obviously,
fair.
when he sets his feet, well, man, there's almost no one better. If John Petty can actually set his feet and go up with a standing 3-point shot, he will hit it more times than not. But the thing with him is that he tries to rush it. He tries to go ahead and get through. He wants to get the shot up. He wants to go. He wants to go. He wants to run.
I
And
feel like
that's-
not even just John Petty. Not sorry to interrupt you. I feel like when I watch, all the other players, they're kind of the same thing. It just seems like
they're
I know they
going
want to be
little-
fast paced, but they're going
Yeah,
way too
that's just
fast.
the system
and that's
thing.
where you get the Shackelford weird shots that he takes, and just it seems like sometimes when they're passing the ball around, they're treating it like it's a hot potato or something. Like, oh, I don't want it. You can have it, and they need to just slow it down a little bit more. Even though they're that's their MO, their up tempo.
See, I would argue that is actually not the system, because, if you look at something like that, those are not the shots that your coach wants you to take. Even if he's saying, all right, run.
Yeah.
If you don't have an open shot, your coach doesn't want you to take a triple contested falling away layup. He doesn't want Shaq to do that, but Shaq does it anyways. And then he says, Shaq, don't do that. And Shaq says, I got you, coach, and then does it.
Yeah.
And John Petty, set your feet, slow down. John Petty shoots an off-balance 3. Hey, Petty, don't do that. I got you, coach. He does it anyways. These guys are not disobedient to their coach or anything, but it's just like, they still in the flow of the game are trying, like, they get spooled up a little bit and they gotta like let it out.
Speaking of let it out, let's take a sigh of relief. We don't have to play at 11 a.m. this Saturday. They
Thank
play Georgia
Heavens.
at 2:30.
And dude,
Georgia is not that good this year.
Georgia's not that good. They have 7 guys averaging 9 points or more.
That's good. We need a big moral win.
Yes, we need to just go in and like blow somebody out.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Dude,
I just want to shoot. I want to have a game where we go
Why
and we can
can't
win by
we-
15. We just need to shoot well.
why can't we just rest Herb Jones for this game?
We should.
That's what actually there's growing speculation among everyone that I have heard talk about it, is that this would
Yeah,
be the
absolutely.
game
It
to
is
rest Herb.
so dumb not to rest him.
Yes, this is the game where you need to rest Herb. And it's like, if we drop it to Georgia because we rested Herb, then we dropped it to Georgia because we rested Herb. I don't care anymore. I want Herb Jones at full health.
Well, the only other game that I mean, there's a couple, like Texas A&M obviously is okay. Vanderbilt, I think, would be okay resting Herb Jones as well. Vanderbilt has not impressed me at all watching them.
They have one good player.
Scottie Pippen Jr.
Yep, that is it.
But anyway, I think we should
Finish up some baseball.
finish up with some baseball. Everyone's favorite sport except Matthew, unfortunately.
Hey, I know.
You don't
I
dislike it. I'm
I
just
know.
saying it's
I
not
know
your
a
favorite.
decent bit about the St. Louis Cardinals, because that's
Yeah,
what my
well,
roommate
two
yells
of-
at me from across the
Two
room.
of our 3 topics are actually about the St. Louis Cardinals.
Yes.
So, but
I wonder
first
who
we're gonna
put this on the dock.
Yeah, first we're gonna start though with the non-St. Louis Cardinals one. Trevor Bauer. I was talking about it last time. You might have heard me. I said, "Oh, he's gonna sign a deal with the Mets. He's close to signing a deal with the Mets." Yeah, he signed a deal with the Dodgers. Actually, sorry, I lied. I hope you didn't go bet on that or something.
Tyler Insider.
Yeah, my insider
Tyler Insider is
lied
wrong.
to me, and by my insider I mean it was a guy on Twitter that tweeted it out to like millions of people.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the Dodgers got Trevor Bauer. Now they have Clayton Kershaw. I think they still have Walker Buehler. They have Trevor Bauer. They don't have Hyunjin Ryu anymore. He went to the Blue Jays. But
Oh wait, do they still have that one dude that?
Cody Bellinger.
No. I thought he played for the Dodgers. He was the guy that pitched. He threw one at the Astros player, and then like
Julio.
Oh, no.
Kelly something.
Yeah,
Oh, wait.
Joe Kelly.
Joe Kelly. Do they still have Joe
I
Kelly?
think he's still there.
Who's don't they have? Oh gosh, never mind. They have a redheaded
Yeah, he's
pitcher.
still on. What?
Don't they have a redheaded pitcher too?
Yeah, Dustin May.
Yeah, he's good
He-
too.
He's literally might be moved to bullpen duties because they have so many starters. Because he's only like this is his first year in the majors.
Yeah.
He
And
was so good last year.
I know. That's how crazy their
That's
rotation
scary.
is.
I'm looking at it right now. Bauer, Kershaw, and Bueller, and then I'm like, wait a second. Dustin May's pretty good. I mean, obviously I'm partial to Gingers being one myself, but he was pretty good for them last year.
Yeah.
Local ginger wants other ginger to play.
Uprising is sorry.
Yes. No, I completely understand. Yeah, and then they still have Mookie Betts. And so my question is, right, they have Cody Bellinger. They signed him to I think it was like a $90 million per year
A lot of money.
contract.
Lot of money.
A
lot of money.
Let me look this
Lot of
up.
money.
They signed Mookie Betts to a big contract. Oh, I guess it was a 1 year, $16 million contract.
Repeats.
So for this next year, Mookie Betts, they obviously have an incredible rotation. They've kept pretty much everyone. They're getting David Price back as well. That was
Because
the
he
other one I
opted out.
forgot. Yeah.
God.
So do you guys think that there should be a salary cap in baseball?
Yes.
Nope.
Okay. Wow.
You,
Fight.
you can't have teams like the Dodgers and teams like the Yankees just doing this year in and year out. There's got to be a line that's drawn at some point.
Sounds to me
There's
like
a
someone
salary
who's not
cap-
a fan of the Yankees or the Dodgers.
Well, it doesn't.
Whoa.
I don't really care about the Yankees or the Dodgers because my team won a World Series recently. So
But could you imagine like the NFL, right? If there was
Yeah.
no salary cap, then everyone would go
Yeah,
to the
why-
Buccaneers
why
after
is
this
it
season.
That every other league has one except for
MLS,
MLB.
like soccer, doesn't have one, and then MLB doesn't have one.
that doesn't make sense to me.
And I
That's
just
America's sport.
I think they need a salary cap just because to make it competitive. Because it is, I mean, you see Mike Trout's contract, right? And granted, he is very, very good. He probably deserves a contract like that in a world that there's no salary cap. But in a world that there was a
fantasy
salary
land.
cap, yeah, exactly. He wasn't signing that deal. and like I know they had to give him a ridiculous amount of money so he could stay, but it's an LA market, so they could like afford to give him that type of money.
Yes.
But so I just don't think it's fair that like, you know, a small team like the Mariners or like Milwaukee, for example, they wouldn't keep Christian Yelich if there was a like, I mean, without a salary cap, excuse me, I'm kind of getting all jumbled here with my train of thought. Yeah. They're trying to keep Christian Yelich, right?
Yeah.
And like without a salary cap, another team could easily just offer him whenever his contract's up like $10 billion and then he could go there.
Yeah, so long as they can pay it. And I mean, like, you know, on the one hand, yeah, that is kind of awful. But on the other hand, like the NFL, you see a lot of good teams get ruined because, you know, they like had like 2 unfortunate injuries in back-to-back years. And it's like, sorry, your salary cap's up. Like, deal with it. And on the other hand, the NBA, they have a salary cap, yeah. But, you know, they don't like. I honestly love the way the NBA does it because, like, if you look at it, the Warriors, Kelly Oubre Jr. is on like a $17 million deal. They paid $90 million for him this year because they went into the luxury tax to take on his contract.
And I think that's fair. But like,
It's
I
just
think
like-
that there has to, you can do that system, but you have to have a hard cap somewhere. And they do, right? Like
Yeah.
you can't acquire.
It's like your hard cap is like insanely high, but if you can pay it, essentially, you can
Yeah.
handle it.
And that's fair. I think that's fine if you want to allow owners to pay like a lot of luxury money
Yeah.
over what they're going to, then that's fair as long as there's a hard cap. Because I think it's unfair to like the integrity of the league that every single time there's a good free agent, immediate like Yankees, Dodgers, like I don't know, Red Sox, Mets, like all these big market teams
But-
are the ones.
On the other hand, to counter that point, like obviously, yes, in an ideal world, it probably is better for there to be a salary cap. At this point, is like there's an MLBPA, right? There's an MLB Players Association.
Yeah, but they don't have that much power.
Well, do they still have to like discuss like payment with them? Like, does the MLB still have to discuss payment with the Players Association?
I'm not sure.
Because if they do, no one's going to agree to that. Because MLB players are like, yeah, I love getting paid $500 million in 5 seasons.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it would have
And you
to be,
can't, like, I don't even know if you can realistically make it that way because who in the MLB would actually vote no for that?
Well, I think it'd be the same as the NFL, right? where this last year you had the arbitration between the players and the league for all these things like an extra game, an extra bye week, and like extra playoff teams and stuff. And pretty much all the top players said no, right? This hurts me. I'm not going to say yes.
Yes.
All the people on small deals were like, actually, this is a good thing for me, right? Like you increase the minimum for like having a player on your team, right?
Yeah.
All those players at the bottom will say yes, and then their votes will outrule the big players. And so like, I don't know. I think it has to be like a business thing. I think the league would have to go like, people are not happy with not a salary cap, but
I mean, yeah, like at the end of the day, can you get enough players that are willing to say, hey, I don't want that? Because, like, you know, obviously the Dodgers went out and just grabbed this, you know, insanely good pitcher, but, like, I don't know.
Well, earlier I said that I lied to you, and I'm going to lie to you again because I don't think we're going to have time to talk about the two Cardinals things I want to talk about. We can talk about them next week. They're still going to be there. Yadi Molina is still going to be a Cardinal next week, thankfully. And so is Nolan Arenado.
Which is insane.
But I think with that, that's all we needed to say for this week.
Yeah,
So.
episode 16 of the Super Sports Flash podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We make the magic happen around here.
Yeah, we do. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Love you guys. And we'll see you all next time
Peace.
on the Super Sports Flash podcast.
Goodbye.